The Lost Wallet, Part 3. The room was silent except for the faint hum of the dim lamp. Tom's phone buzzed again, but this time, the message was a simple picture, a black and white photo of Jason, taken through a window, from a distance. No words, just the image. But it was enough to send a shiver down Tom's spine. Jason's face was a mix of panic and determination as he paced the small room. "This is bad, Tom. They're closing in. We need to figure out who Morrow's working with, and fast." Tom's mind was racing. Who else could be involved in this tangled web? But then another thought surfaced: had Jason been working with Morrow all along? The feeling gnawed at him, but he pushed it aside for now. He had to focus. Jason stopped pacing and grabbed Tom's shoulders. "Listen to me. The only way to stop Morrow is to get the evidence, the original deal documents. The ones that Morrow had signed. Without them, we have no leverage." "Where are they?" Tom asked, his voice steady, despite the chaos swirling in his mind. "In my apartment. I hid them in a safe place. But I can't go back there. They're watching me." "You have to do it." Tom hesitated. "What if I can't trust you? What if this is all part of your plan? What if you're—" Jason's eyes darkened. "You think I'd involve you in this? This wasn't supposed to happen. I swear, I didn't know Morrow was using me like this. I'm trying to fix it." "You want answers? The documents are the key. You'll see everything." Tom looked into Jason's desperate eyes. Despite the growing doubt, he nodded. Tom's fingers trembled as he clutched the folder. Every part of him screamed to leave Jason's apartment, to vanish before whoever was knocking on the door found him. But there was no way out now. He'd come too far to back down. The knock grew louder, more insistent. A voice, cold as ice, sliced through the tension. "Tom, I know you're in there. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Tom's pulse raced. That wasn't Morrow's voice. It wasn't even someone he recognized. His mind spun, the weight of the folder in his hands suddenly feeling like a lead anchor pulling him under. He quickly scanned the room, looking for an escape. There was no way out through the front, he was trapped. The footsteps were growing louder now, closing in. With only moments to spare, Tom made a snap decision. He ran for the window, ripping it open and looking out into the dark alley below. It was a 6-story drop, but it was either that or risk whatever was waiting for him at the door. He swung one leg over the ledge, but before he could follow, a voice from behind him froze him in place. "You don't have to run, Tom." It was Jason. Tom's heart thudded. He whipped around, his breath catching. "Jason, what the hell are you doing here?" Jason stood in the doorway, his face pale, his eyes wild. He looked different, strung out, as if he hadn't slept in days. There was a desperate energy to him that made Tom's blood run cold. "I had no choice, Tom," Jason's voice cracked. "I never wanted you involved in this. But now they'll do anything to get the folder, and you." Suddenly, the door slammed open. Tom spun just in time to see a figure step into the apartment, tall and imposing, with a quiet power that sent an icy shiver down his spine. Eleanor Voss. Tom had heard of her, whispers in the dark corners of the business world. Her name was always followed by fear. But seeing her in person, the sleek confidence in her every movement, the chilling calmness in her eyes, Tom realized just how deep they were in this mess. "Let him go, Jason," Eleanor said, her voice smooth, almost too smooth. "You've already done enough damage." Tom's heart hammered. Jason, was he working with her? Was this all part of the plan? But Jason's face was twisted with pain, his eyes filled with confusion. I didn't know, Eleanor. I never meant for any of this to happen. I thought." Eleanor raised a hand, silencing him effortlessly. "It doesn't matter now, does it?" Tom felt the cold rush of betrayal flood through him. He looked at Jason, his mind struggling to process what was happening. His friend had been lying to him the entire time. He wasn't just hiding something, he was complicit in all of it. But before Tom could react, Eleanor turned to him, a sly smile tugging at her lips. I think you know why you're really here, Tom. You're not just a pawn in their game. You're the key. Jason's breath hitched. What do you mean? Eleanor's eyes darkened. You see, Jason here. He's been so useful. But he couldn't do it alone. He needed someone to take the fall. Someone who would willingly carry the truth right to the point of no return. Someone who wouldn't ask too many questions. Tom felt the world tilt. Wait, what are you saying? You were always meant to find the documents, Tom, she said, stepping closer, her eyes gleaming. You've been so eager to help Jason, so eager to save him. But you've been playing right into our hands. I knew you would. Jason's face drained of color. No, Tom, I didn't know. They lied to me. They. Eleanor cut him off with a laugh, dark and cutting. You honestly think I needed to lie to you, Jason? You did everything for me. You gave them everything they needed. You were the perfect little accomplice. Tom was reeling. His whole body felt numb, his mind struggling to grasp the betrayal in front of him. Jason, his best friend, had been part of this all along. But why? Why had he kept him in the dark? Jason, Tom whispered, his voice breaking. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you warn me? Jason dropped his head in shame, his voice barely audible. I thought I could fix it. I thought I could protect you. But I was in too deep. They promised me they wouldn't hurt you if I just played along. A sick realization hit Tom like a punch to the gut. Jason hadn't just been hiding things from him, he had been protecting himself, even at the cost of Tom's safety. The truth was, Tom was nothing more than a pawn in Jason's scheme to protect his own skin. Eleanor's voice broke through his thoughts. It's too late for you, Jason. And as for you, Tom, she said, her eyes glinting with malice, you've made a huge mistake trusting him. Before Tom could react, Eleanor stepped forward with a swift, practiced motion. In an instant, she grabbed the folder from his hands and crushed it underfoot, a look of utter satisfaction crossing her face. Game over, she whispered. And just like that, the world around Tom shattered. The documents, his last hope, were gone. But as he stood there, completely frozen in shock, something else happened. Jason, his voice trembling with fear, took a step toward Eleanor. No. No. You promised, he shouted, his eyes wild, panicked. You said you wouldn't hurt him. You said. Eleanor's expression faltered for the briefest moment, a flicker of emotion in her eyes. But then it was gone, replaced by cold calculation. Promises were never part of the deal, Jason. And with one final, crushing move, she shoved him aside and turned toward the door. The last sound Tom heard before everything went black was Jason's anguished cry. Tom was left standing in the ruins of everything he had fought for. Betrayed by his best friend, manipulated by Eleanor Voss, and now, with nothing but a shattered hope. But as the pieces of the puzzle finally began to fall into place, one terrifying truth surfaced: the game wasn't over. Not by a long shot. And now, it was Tom's turn to make the rules.